Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
So I'm seeing 7 o'clock. My name is Amy Hellwood, and as the chair of the Village Trustees, I will call this meeting to order. We are meeting electronically only at the moment. If you have any tech issues, you can text or call 802-376-4639. I apologize to anyone who went to Main Street Arts. We need to fix that on the website. We have been meeting electronically only and are likely to continue doing that unless members change their minds. Having called the meeting to order, is there any public comment? Hearing none, let us move on to the Saxtons River Park application and fee structure. Trustees have seen this, at least I sent it to them. Margaret, do you want to say a few words?
Sure.
Hold on a second. Margaret, for those of you who don't know, is the chairman of the Saxtons River Park Committee. Louise Luring, who is not present. Somehow we have Sarah Campbell identified as Louise Luring. I think Margaret is the only member of the committee who's
Teresa Spear is here. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Go ahead, Margaret. We'll give you the floor.
So basically, we're keeping the policies essentially the same, but we're moving to eliminate any kind of fee and make it a donation instead. We started out thinking that the park probably had to support itself, which it really doesn't. I mean, it has the village. So we also were feeling that it really inhibits people from joining in and taking part of the park. So we eliminated that and requested a donation instead. If it's a very large meeting, or event, we still might require insurance and event insurance. Let me think if there was anything else here.
So did you mention a limit for when people need to call it a large event? It seems to me I saw the number 50.
50, yeah, that would probably be it. And if we have smaller groups like the Romeos that meet on a regular basis, they don't have to fill out an application. Just let us know, notify us that they'll be doing that like every Wednesday in the morning, just so we know for the scheduling of things. So that's essentially the only changes. We also, in the near future, hope to request some money for some benches, a couple of park benches for the lower part of the park. And I think the pricing is something like $700, somewhere in that for each bench. They're metal, so they should hold up pretty well.
So 2 benches at about $700 each?
Yes.
I checked with Sarah, who of course can speak for herself, but she said there's $6,000 in that account, and so far, the only item we have against it is the planned engraving with Abbiati. So comments first on the changes in the application process and the fee structure?
I'll make a motion to approve the changes to the Saxon River Park application and fee structure.
Is there a second to that motion?
I second it.
Okay. And any further discussion?
Looks good to me.
Okay. All right. It's been, the motion has been made and seconded to approve the changes to the Saxtons River Park, eliminating the fee and changing it to a donation and requiring application only for more than 50 people.
Can someone mute?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, thank you.
Took me a minute to figure out who it was. So all in favor of passing Matt's motion signify with a show of hands. And it's unanimous. Great.
Thank you so much.
Do we want to discuss the 2 benches amount?
No, it's not on the agenda. We have a
Okay.
large agenda this evening.
Okay, we'll
Okay.
add that to the July agenda.
Great, thank you.
But you're welcome. We're up to number 4, neglect of animals in public areas. Cass, that's you.
There we go. That should work. I take it I can be heard okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
We're not
I'm gonna
seeing
keep
you.
on-
If you want to start your video, that would allow us to see you, but that's completely up to you.
Well, thank you. It's a summer hour and I don't think anyone needs to look at my big Scottish pan. So I'm going to demur and keep the video off.
Okay, go ahead.
I got a quick script done up here because I don't want to miss any points. Greetings and good evening to my Saxtons River neighbors. My name is Cass Wright. I'm your duly appointed animal control officer, and I'd like to use this opportunity to remind you all about some concerns I have this upcoming summer and autumn seasons for all of you exercising the privilege of being dog owners or canine care providers. First and foremost, our leash laws. Vermont statute states that all dogs not under strict and immediate voice command must be kept on a leash held by its handler whenever it is anywhere in public. This is further narrowed by Rockingham Town Ordinance that all dogs appearing anywhere in public in the villages of Saxtons River or Bellows Falls that are not contained inside a motor vehicle must be kept on a leash held by its handler at all times, no exceptions allowed. Remember, please, there are no end runs or workarounds to this law, not even by carrying dogs or attaching dogs to bicycles or scooters. Let me say this again for emphasis. All dogs allowed in public spaces and places in Saxtons River must be either kept in a vehicle or held on a leash, period. This is true for all dogs living in Saxtons River or even visiting the village with their owners. Again, no exceptions. Next, the citizenship of your dog. Vermont state statutes demand that all dogs must be vaccinated routinely for rabies every 3 years without lapse, starting ideally at 90 days of age, but certainly by their 6th month, by a licensed veterinarian, and that once done, they must be registered in their town of residence with their town clerk, and that tags identifying that vaccination and that registration be attached to that dog's collar, and that the collar with those tags attached be kept upon the animal at all times, without fail, throughout Saxtons River and everywhere else in the state of Vermont. If this seems severe or overly strict, let me point out that sooner or later, all dogs escape their owners' homes or vehicles and often are recovered by other people, including myself. Without those tags, I cannot ascertain your dog's ownership or identity or medical status. And if I can't solve the riddle of who he or she belongs to, I'll have to transport that dog all the way down to the Windham County Humane Society in Dummerston. When that happens, it is a long and expensive process to get your dog back. Lastly, please do clean up behind your dogs when you take them out for their exercise. This means always having a plastic grocery type bag with you or some type of disposable mitt with which to retrieve your dog's feces and transport that waste to an appropriate public waste container, or if need be, all the way back home. This is a legal requirement cited specifically by a town of Rockingham ordinance. and enforceable in all 6 villages and everywhere in between. Finally, neglecting any of these requirements can result in being issued citations by myself or a Windham County Deputy Sheriff with fines starting at $25 all the way into the hundreds, and might even result in district court appearances, which I'd much prefer to avoid, as I'm sure would any of my neighbors. In closing, let me urge my fellow dog owners to reach out to me with any canine concerns or questions or requests for help of any sort. My number is 289-7327, and my contact information can be found quoted on the Health Department page of the Rockingham Town website. Any questions? Anything I can answer?
Any questions from board members or the public? Go ahead, Carl.
Yeah, so if you recover a dog, do you check it for microchips?
I do have a scanner. I even wrestled the town of Rockingham into purchasing me the best scanner on the market, which is to date the only one that can scan and locate all 5 kinds of chips. And that is one thing that I do. In the brief span of time I have to locate the dog's owner. And I put it that way because I'm still trying to work out some form of workable temporary dog shelter for our town. Currently, we have none. For various reasons, not which are insurance liability reasons, I can't just bring the dog to my property. And as of now, we have no non-quarantine facility in which to hold a dog while I try to locate the owners. So I'm kind of on a time clock when I get the dog. One of the first things I do is to use my scanner to check for chips. To date, a very small percentage of local dogs have chips yet. And even if your dog does have a chip, they're still required by law to wear that collar and wear the tags on the collar. Certainly the chip helps.
So Carl, did that answer your question satisfactorily?
Yep.
Any other questions from board members or the public?
So I have a second
ahead.
question.
Yep.
About dogs running unleashed on private property. Could you comment on that?
Carl, what is the point of the question? Is it a dog owned by the owner on his property?
A dog letting your dog run unleashed on private property.
On your own property or someone else's?
On your own property.
Okay, so the question is, can you let your own dog run on your
Yes.
own property?
Certainly. You understand as so long as it is understood that the dog must stay on your property. This gets into a separate issue, and I promise not to stump too long on this one, but a lot of people sort of are fibbing to themselves about the control of their dog. So they get home, they let the dog out to exercise around the yard with the misconception their dog is staying in their yard, oftentimes without even checking out a window or whatever. And quite often that dog will wander into other neighbors' yards, get into all sorts of trouble, take little trips around the neighborhood, and perhaps ostensibly get back home without serious mishap. This is still a violation of the statute. If you're going to release your dog in your yard and your yard is not appropriately fenced, you need to make sure that dog will stay put on your property. If the dog is running into other people's property, then it gets into the tricky position of how your neighbors feel about that. If your neighbors don't care and it's just running one yard to the next, I'm kind of out of the loop there. It's still not a good situation, but it's not an illegal one as long as the neighbors have no problem.
All right. Any other questions for Cass Wright, our animal control officer? Great. Thank you so much, Cass. I appreciate it. It's
Thank
been
you,
wonderful
Amy.
having you present on these issues.
Thanks,
I
Cass.
can be reached at any time. As I said, my contact information is on the town website. Thank you all and have a good evening.
Good evening. Okay, we're up to number 5, the parking ban, midnight, July 3rd through 3 p.m., July 5th on Main Street. This comes to us from the 4th of July committee. I believe it is the standard request, which of course we haven't had for the last 2 years, but now we are faced with a real 4th of July celebration, and we have asked to officially announce this parking ban. I guess I need a motion.
Really?
No, do we just agree by consensus? You've been through this before, Matt. I haven't.
Yeah, I don't know as we ever voted on parking bans, but
Okay,
if that's what you need.
consensus is fine with me. Are there any objections to this parking ban? Any more comments or discussion?
We have signs to put up.
I don't know. I will talk to the town of Rockingham and see what their advice is. I'm sure they have some. Go ahead, Sarah.
Having been on the committee does all that.
Oh, great.
Okay.
I have a question.
Okay.
How would this impact the store?
It's traditional. I mean, I think that area is kept clear except for emergency medical vehicles. But you raise a good point. Brandy is also new. So,
Well, it's not a parking ban that you can't go to the store and do your business. But as you can see, on Main Street now, there's cars that are parked there overnight, and trailers. So they want to keep those clear. So on the 5th, they can make sure that all the trash is picked up and everything from the parade is removed. So it's not that downtown is forbidden.
And they can park on the side street there too, so.
Right, but if you're going to the store, you can go to the store.
Yep.
It's just not bringing your cars out and parking them in front of your house until after 3 on the 5th.
so maybe I should also notify the sheriff that we've passed this ban. Sounds reasonable?
Doesn't the sheriff provide traffic control for the parade?
I'm not sure what's happening this year. That is handled by the committee. I believe they intended to have an independent firm do it, and the last I heard, they were still negotiating for who would handle it. They have, through our auspices, arranged for sheriff coverage for the night. I think it's 5 until 9:30 p.m. on the night of July 4th. And as you know, we have arranged for, well, I'll update you later on that. You had me get in touch with the sheriff about brief coverage the night of July 3rd and July 4th. So I also have a report on that later. But I don't think they are providing coverage during the day for the parade, Carl.
Okay.
Sue Hernandez would be the point person on that, or who else is on the committee? Sarah, do you know? Pat Fowler?
Pat Fowler, Crystal Hernandez, and I think Jan Guile.
Are we done with the parking ban or not?
I think we are. Are there any further questions?
No.
Okay, moving on to setting the village tax rate.
Oh, just really quick, I'm sorry to interrupt. Rick is gone, I think, for the rest of the meeting.
Okay.
We
Oh,
had,
I'm so sorry.
oh, no, he's okay. We've just had fire alarms going off at Chroma all day, so. The poor guy is just had to run
Okay.
back up there again.
Okay, glad you two are communicating. All right, it's okay. We still have a quorum. We are ready to move forward with setting the village tax rate. I have that document on my that I can share, Carl, or I can give you permission.
I think
to
it would
share.
be easier if I share so that I
Okay.
can navigate.
I am going to make you the co-host. Hold on. Go right ahead. You should have permission to share at this point.
Okay. Where's my share? I can't-
Should be, I believe it's green at the top.
There it is.
Actually,
There it
share
is.
screen on the bottom. Yeah.
Never mind. Got it.
That looks good.
Yeah, let me just get rid of these other things. I'm sorry, I've got too much of a mess up here. Okay. Okay, so I had a conversation with with two of the listers, Tad and Mike, about the Form 411, which I had gotten just before the last meeting. And so here is the form that I sent you is all of the information from that form, which is the grand list update for the village. Now, I had quite a conversation with them trying to interpret it, and got from them the instructions that we should take the value which they called the municipal grand list, which is the total of all the listed real estate and personal property minus all of the exemptions. Divide that by 100 so that you're doing it in hundreds of dollars, and use that to calculate the tax rate. So take our budget, divide it by that grand list number, and you get a tax rate which comes out to 19.57 cents per $100. Okay, so this was following literally what they told me to do. After we had this conversation, I went through my notes and noted that they had said that the personal property, the PP listing, is not something that the village taxes, only the town. So it occurred to me after they had closed and gone for the weekend, because they got a hold of me on Friday, that maybe we should make some adjustments to that rate calculation that they gave me, but I have not been able to get in touch with them to clarify that, today being the grievance day. They're not answering emails and I couldn't get through by phone. But we have the instruction of setting the tax rate based on the listed values before grievances. That made the base may change a little bit from grievances. Their feeling was that we should not worry about that, but they will let us know what adjustments have been made. So my feeling is that we should go ahead and calculate the rates, which is what's outlined here in yellow, according to what the listers told us to do. If it turns out that this is overvaluing by including personal property values that aren't folded into the real estate values, it'll make a difference. It'll bring us up about $600 short of our total budget. So I don't think it's significant error. But the two listers that I talked to were new to the job, and when I did this last year, I did not have this much information. I only had a total listed real estate value when we calculated the rate last year. So It's different for me too.
Has it gone up since last year?
So if we go down to the second page, our budget has gone up a little bit. The grand list has gone up a little bit. The tax rate has gone down a little bit.
Because I would have anticipated that it went up,
The tax rate?
the grand list, given all the properties that have turned over.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a, well, I do. I'm sorry, it's $30,278 last year and $30,475,900 this year.
Wait,
So up
Yeah,
about.
do you have that number correct on the second page? It looks like you might
Yeah.
be in a decimal point.
yeah, because it looks like 30 million for last year and 300,000 for
All
this
right.
year.
Okay, yes, no, that's correct. The value that, so the value that I've given on this sheet is these are the values that that I calculated the tax rate from the 2 years. So last year I got this grand list number from Pam Willard, just what the total property value for the village was. This year I got the official form from the listers, and this $304,000 figure is this one right here, where they take the total value, take away the exemptions, and then divide it by 100.
So just in terms of clarity, it might be good to put those two grand list figures in the same formula, just so it doesn't look so awkward. I mean, I understand now that you've explained, one of them is divided by 100 and the other is not. But
Mhm.
you can see on that second page, it looks very anomalous.
Yeah. I actually didn't mean to include this second page in what I sent you. This was notes for me, but yeah, okay, so we can,
Just so you know, if
Yeah.
you share those figures with anyone else. Matt, I saw your hand go up.
Yeah, I can't recall in all the years on the board that we have gone through this whole process, other than to figure out what the budget is and then set the tax rate, and that gets sent off to Rockingham to send the bills out. So is something changing, or what?
well,
It just seems to be,
So
or
I
you're just getting a grip on it, or
yeah, so this is the second time I've done it.
yeah.
And the first time I did it, I got a number from Louise, which I used, and Pam Willard called me and said, this number's wrong. The grand list has changed since then.
Okay.
And so she gave me this 30,278,290 and said, calculate from this.
Yep.
And so that's what I did. Now,
Okay.
I don't know how that number compares to any of the numbers up here. I think it's the same as this total listed real estate.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah,
So Louise has just been taking care of it, and
Louise had
That's why we
taken
have-
care of it until last year, and then it fell on me, and I'm still
okay,
stumbling my way through.
getting the info you need to be up to speed with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I guess what we need to talk about is, since we need to set the rate before our next meeting, because Pam needs this number by the 1st of July. You
So
say
can't we set
no?
it? Can't
No,
we set it
Sarah?
tonight?
Pardon?
Can't we set the tax rate tonight?
Yeah, we can. I guess the question is, with all these numbers, how do we want to do it?
Well, you said it's not going to be very different, correct?
No, it's not going to be very different. We can do it the way we have always done, or we can do it the way the listers said we should be, which is kind of my preference would be to do it that way.
Okay. They come out the same?
They come out to within $600.
Great.
So we need to have the one that has not the minus 600, but the actual 600. right?
I don't follow you.
Well,
If
you
we,
said-
if we use the rate that's calculated this way,
Yeah,
their way, and we multiply, and it turns out that the only value that the tax rate applies to is this listed real estate.
Mhm.
Will come out $600 under our budget.
okay,
Budget's meant to be a best guess. I mean,
okay. So,
If we do it the other way by excluding everything that has to do with the personal property, and that's what throws the wrinkle in this cable equipment and inventory and how that gets manipulated. If we were to do that, then we get a little bit higher tax rate, 0.1975. And if we do that, then we'll come out right on budget if we apply that rate to the total real estate. But if it turns out that in the tax calculations it gets applied to other things, we come out about $600 over budget.
so I see a question from Sarah. Go ahead, Sarah.
It's as much a statement as anything. The PP cable and equipment really does only really apply to 10 bills. And that's a separate, bill than part of the tax. It's, so as a commercial owner, you get a separate bill from the town of Rockingham.
Okay. So,
And the VTEL is our big one.
mhm,
Comcast Cable, for some reason, sends us money every year. Pitney Bowes sends us money every year. It's some of these weird things. So, but that's
but money comes to us, to the village.
to the village.
Okay.
So, but I'm saying you can ignore that because that's based, I think, mostly on town of Rockingham stuff.
The town of Rockingham does it. Okay. So if that's true and we get a payment from these people, then we should use the tax rate as is calculated in the yellow outline.
Yes.
and that is 0.1957.
Yeah. $0.1957 per $100 of assessed value.
All right, I'll make a motion that we set the tax rate at 0.1957 per $100 of assessed value.
Do I hear a second for that motion?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to set the tax rate at 0.1957 per $100 of assessed value for the Village of Saxons River tax rate for the coming year. Is there any further discussion?
I have a question.
Yes,
What was it last year?
the rate,
Yeah,
1960.
okay, all right, that's all.
So pretty close.
Yep,
Yeah, I mean, I think we anticipated the rate going up somewhat this year. I mean, we certainly discussed that when we set the budget, but I'm not at all unhappy, given everything that's happening in the world, to see it
Mhm.
so close to last year.
Now, your taxes, of course, may go up because your property's worth more.
right.
So the rate doesn't change as much as your tax will.
Okay. Good point. Any other questions from, do you want to take down the shared screen, Carl, just so we can see a little better? Great, thank you.
Okay, it says it's stopped. Because
Yep.
I put the window.
Yep, I can see you all again. So
Okay.
questions from board members or from the public? And I know we have a few other things to talk about taxes, but these are questions just on the motion in front of us to set the tax rate at 0.1957 per $100 of assessed value. Any more questions or comments on that motion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. the motion to set the tax rate for the village. I'm sorry, is that a
No.
question? Matt? Okay.
Sorry.
I was jumping the gun.
I was following Matt's lead.
We're ready for the vote. We're ready for the vote. All signal with a hand, please. And that is 4, which is unanimous for where we are. All right, the other question, are there other questions relating to taxes? I see Teresa and Guy and Margaret hanging in there. And of course, you're welcome to come, but I wonder if you have tax comments.
We're kind of done with that.
We've set the village tax rate. Teresa, go
Right.
ahead.
So number 7.
No, hold on, Matt, please. Teresa.
One of the things I wanted to throw out there is having us start giving folks an option to pay taxes and or sewer fees online. I looked it up and there are many Vermont towns that do that, either with credit card, with the person paying the fee, or by direct debit, ACH. For a very small $1.50 fee.
So I know Matt is going to suggest that we discuss this at some leisure at another meeting, but I want to make sure that I did want to make sure that we had Teresa gave Teresa a chance to speak, and I think I should throw it to Sarah. Again, saying that we will discuss this further, but go ahead.
Well, let's
Sarah.
discuss it further. That's not on the agenda.
Hold on, Matt.
Doing
please.
payments is not on the agenda. Setting the tax rate is. And we voted, and we're on to number 7.
Sarah, did you have a comment?
I don't. I can do it at the time when we discuss it later.
Okay.
But it is not something that we would easily be able to do for this year.
Any other comments? Guy, I noticed you've turned your video on. Okay, we are moving forward. Thank you, Teresa, and we'll make sure that it's prominently displayed when we bring it up, which will be well before setting the next tax rate. Election of a trustee to approve bills and construct warrants. So this is something we began to discuss at the last meeting. I think we were all in favor of creating a situation where we could have one meeting a month at times of the year when we would prefer one meeting a month, and also that our bills would be paid promptly. So we would be following the model of electing one trustee from the board who would review the bills and authorize them on perhaps a weekly or every 2 weekly basis. And all bills would come to the next, a list of all the bills would come to the next trustee meeting for review by the full board. Does anybody want to pick up the discussion where we left off last time?
I'll make a motion that Carl Ball take care of that for us.
And what do you mean by take care of that for us?
Be designated as to approve bills and construct warrants.
I think that's a terrible idea. I'm sorry, but this is in my view, a considerable task. So we do remunerate Carl for the job he does as clerk. I am certainly cognizant of how much work it takes to be the clerk. So I would look for a way to spread this to another board member rather than asking the clerk. We have a motion on the floor. Naming Carl, I've named my reluctance. Other comments?
I'll second it. Let's discuss it.
Okay. We have a motion to elect Carl to be the trustee who would approve bills and construct warrants for us.
We really should be nominating Rick because he's not here. That's
I was thinking that.
What happens when you leave early?
Is this something that we can postpone, or do we have to do it tonight? Can we think
Well,
about it a little bit
If
more?
we want a meeting in July, the bulk of if we want to go to a summer meeting schedule, we have to lay that out ahead. And our next meeting is going to be curious anyway, because our next official meeting would fall on July 4th. All in favor of having it a different night?
Yeah,
Totally.
different.
Well, so how much time is involved in approving?
Matt
the
thought
budget?
1 hour to construct the warrant, to pick up the mail and construct the warrant. I think
Yeah,
more like 2.
I don't. Yeah, it didn't take me an hour. I just got the mail, went through the bills, and you sent me that template, and I typed in the names and numbers, and that was it. But
So the other ways that bills come to us are through Art Smith, who typically emails that they are waiting in the fire department, fire station, and through Rob Wheeler directly. For some reason, things get mailed to him, probably because he's the person ordering them. And from Nick Cushman and Sam Fletcher, both of whom run their own divisions. So the rescue squad, medical equipment, and Sam Fletcher, typically the expense is to open and close and do any necessary repairs. So those come as emails. I typically print them out, turn them into an invoice, and add them to the stack. Doesn't happen every week, but it happens throughout the year. So
it does require a post office once a week? Is that what
well,
you're
it
saying?
depends on how often we pay the
well,
bill.
at least before the warrant goes out. Doesn't have to be once a week.
Well, the warrant would go out at the next meeting, whenever the next meeting was. Sarah, what would be your preference? You're the person who takes the flack if the bills don't get paid on time. How often would you like to see bills?
Honestly, my biggest frustration right now is not getting the bills. So however we can make it so that we get the bills, so I can write the checks or send them electronic payment would be great.
About
So
how long
every
do you-
2 weeks would be adequate?
That's fine.
Okay.
I will, I would like to do it on a temporary basis to see how much it would require for time. Because I'm overcommitted as it is, but
Well, welcome to all of our worlds.
yeah, I know exactly. No, but I'm a special one. I
would you?
temporarily take on this responsibility just to evaluate how long it would take.
Okay.
I mean,
We have a motion and a second from Matt and Carl for the purposes of discussion. Should we move on to a separate motion?
Well,
Would
we
you-
either vote on this one and vote no, and then we can.
You want to do that?
Yeah.
All in favor of passing the motion to name Carl as the trustee to approve bills and construct warrants? All in favor, vote yes. All in opposition, vote no.
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 Carl, did you want no?
So it's unanimously against. So I think we need a new motion. Should we look to you, Matt?
Sure. I'll move on to nominating Ellen to, which one we at here? To approve bills and construct the warrant
As a temporary measure.
as a temporary measure.
Is there a second to that motion?
Sure.
It's been moved and seconded to nominate Ellen to serve as the temporary person to approve bills and construct warrants. Is there any further discussion? I think it's great.
I kind of like view it as just like fostering a dog.
You know what?
Not adopting it.
You get the keys now. You get the big keychain. Okay.
I'll throw in, Ellen, that if you try it and it turns out that it's more than you can take on, I probably can do it.
We can bring it back to the group. Maybe Rick is dying to do this.
Yeah, I doubt it.
All right, we have a motion and a second to name Ellen to serve as the temporary person, as the trustee to approve bills and construct warrants, at least on a temporary basis. All in favor, signify with a hand.
Do I vote myself?
You can vote,
Yes,
Ellen.
you can vote. It's unanimous. Excellent. You know, if it's not unanimous, I have to take a roll call. That's the rule for meeting electronically. Okay, That takes care of number 7. And we are not onto number 8, the summer schedule. So we have a plan in place now for approving bills throughout the month. Would you like to move a summer schedule of 1 meeting a month? And we could name those meetings now. Perhaps July 11th, the second Monday in July, and the first Monday in August. Is that anybody's special day?
I don't think I can make the 11th.
Well, you're one person, but it does put the rest of us on notice. You're not suggesting we have it on the 4th, I hope.
Oh, God, no.
And the first meeting in August would be Monday, August 1st.
So the revised summer schedule would be July 11th and August 1st.
If we vote that way.
Yeah.
I like that. We can always pass this schedule and then do a special meeting if something huge comes up and we really need to meet. But this would free us and give us a feeling for what it's like just to have 1 meeting a month.
I'll make a motion that the summer schedule is July 11th and August, do you say 1st or 2nd?
I said 1st.
Okay, August 1st.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we create a summer schedule for 1 meeting in July on the 11th, Monday the 11th, and 1 meeting in August on August 1st. Is there any further discussion? Carl, is that a hand?
Yeah, that's just a question. Since we're deviating from our normal schedule, anything special we need to do in terms of warning the meetings? Like, should I put this up on the website?
That would be great. I'll work with you on the wording. I think I might, for the 11th, I will definitely send a notice to our paper of record, the Brattleboro Reformer. We'll do whatever we can. I'll put it on the Saxtons River Facebook page, which a number of people follow, and make sure that we get the word out as much as we can. Sarah, are there implications that you want to weigh in on?
Nope.
Okay.
Just as long as you get the bills on time, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna say I'll ask Ellen to get me the bills by like July 2nd, that Saturday, so that I can start getting them paid because I'm very busy that next week.
Bills to Sarah by 7/2, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Other comments? Other questions? All right, it's been moved and seconded to set the 2 summer meetings for Monday, July 11th and Monday, August 1st. All in favor signify by holding up your hand. It's unanimous. Great work. Whew, whew. I feel like celebrating. Okay, the Declaration of Inclusion. So I sent it to you. Was I smart enough to have it to share? Hold on, I think I need a minute to open it up. Let me do that. So basically, the new declaration looks a lot like the old one. Hold on, I have it up, and now I need to go and share it. Try and get it a little bigger for you. So it begins with a welcome instead of beginning with a condemnation. That was a comment a number of people had met. The Village of Saxtons River welcomes all persons regardless of race, color, religion, national origin, sex, gender identity or expression, age or disability, and wants everyone to feel safe and welcome in our community. We condemn racism. I stuck that on at the end. It was at the beginning before. As a village, we formally condemn all discrimination in all of its forms, commit to fair and equal treatment of everyone in our community, and will strive to ensure all of our actions, policies, and operating procedures reflect this commitment. The Village of Saxtons River has and will continue to be a place where individuals can live freely and express their opinions. And it would have at the bottom, by the Saxtons River Village Trustees on a specified date, 2022. So I would like to post this revised wording with this explanatory statement underneath. A version was read aloud at the village annual meeting, April 25th, 2022, where residents supported it verbally. We have posted it at both bulletin boards and have revised the wording based on comments received. The statement will be posted in its current form for, I would suggest, 30 days, and a vote to approve or reject the statement will be held by the board at the, and I would suggest perhaps the August meeting. Those are suggestions. I'm open to criticism or comments or
I support it.
okay.
So do you feel it's important that we post this for 30 days? I mean, we talked about it at the annual meeting. We had some input.
It's up to you.
It was out there to, for people to comment and contact us.
And perhaps I should ask, has anybody been contacted?
No.
Because I put all our names, addresses, names, emails, and phone numbers every time I've posted it.
Mm-hmm.
No one's been contacted?
I haven't been, well, I mean, nobody's reached out if they've seen me, and I've heard from people that they support it.
Great.
And with the new wording.
I'll make a motion to approve the Declaration of Inclusion.
Carl, I couldn't tell whether you had your hand up. I don't want to preempt you.
Well, yeah, I'm just, you can make the motion and then we can handle it in the discussion. I don't approve it, so.
Matt has made the motion to approve the Declaration of Inclusion. Is there a second to that motion so we can discuss it?
I second it.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve the declaration. Go ahead, Carl.
Okay. I am still, I've voiced this before, uncomfortable with us as a board making a kind of a political or moral statement like this on behalf of the village without, something like, say, a petition from the village or some more formal indication of that this is what members of the village want. And I think back to what the discussion we had about the noise ordinance, where we weren't willing to act without a petition, without a formal indication of support from more members of the village. And I think that would be appropriate here. So I'm just, if it were to say the trustees of Saxtons River instead of the village of Saxtons River, that would be different. I'm just not sure that this is an issue where we should be speaking for the village like this without more concrete evidence that we are speaking for the village. And as to the wording of the declaration itself, I don't think condemn should be in there at all. Not just not as an opening, but if we're talking about wanting people to feel safe and welcome, we want to have a kind of a warm feeling about it, I think condemnation is a bad word to put in. Reject maybe is a better one.
So
I just don't like that word condemn.
So you would replace condemn with reject?
We reject racism and we reject all discrimination in all of its forms.
Okay.
Well, you make a good point, Carl, about saying the village of Saxtons River. So everyone that lives in the village is attached to this wording, and if we approve it, then we're saying that everyone is on board with it.
Yeah, that is a valid point.
It is, and what is it? We're going to have a Australian ballot to on this, or do you change that to the village trustees? And then it lays on us, I guess.
So I did, at your request, investigate having an Australian ballot topic on this. I thought the obvious place to do it would be at the August primary election. The Secretary of State gave his approval to the notion, but I had a personal conversation with the town clerk who said, adding this task to the tasks of the poll workers
Yeah.
would be very time consuming. And she asked that if we were going to do this as a village vote, we instead hold a special meeting, hold a village town meeting. And my concern is, I think people come together for big things like the annual meeting, and we could just postpone this until the annual meeting, which will be next spring, and warn it as an item. And although typically we don't do things like this,
Yeah,
that's a thought. The practice in Vermont municipalities has been to pass it as the municipal group. So it's typically passed by the select board. We are, of course, a village, not governed by a select board, governed by trustees. But we could also, although this talks about the author as being the Saxons River Village Trustees, we could put that up front if you think that would be less objectionable.
Well, that's a good point to have it at the annual meeting. It was brought up at the annual meeting. So being, bringing it there, advertising it ahead of time, and having the wording straightened out, then you're going to get a stronger approval or disapproval on it. Obviously, if a lot of people don't like it, I would assume they'd show up at the meeting and say they don't like it.
Yeah,
But,
I have a feeling that's not the case.
well, I know. Yeah, I don't either. I think, but yeah, if you say the Village of Saxons River and someone has a problem with any of this wording in there, it doesn't. Yeah, I don't think that will, one or two nays should, ruin this. But yeah, it might be the best time to bring it forward and have people at the meeting, read it to them again. And the majority, if you get an approval of the majority of the people there, then we vote on it after the meeting, at our next regular meeting.
So you would still prefer to have it passed by the trustees?
Versus a special meeting and voted on by?
By the town?
By the village.
By the village, I'm sorry.
No, I'd be okay with that. Sure. But I think that costs us money too.
It does? Well, probably not actually, but.
So, right, the changing the condemn to wording. You can take it up again at the next meeting, or what? You want to post it, change the wording and post it again?
I'm happy to do that. My thought was to post it and then vote on it in 30 days.
Okay. So I will rescind my
Your motion?
my motion.
Okay,
will
Carl, are you okay with that? Oh, wait, who was the second? Were you the second, Ellen?
I was.
No, Carl was.
Oh, Carl was? Oh,
No, I didn't second it.
Oh, okay.
Ellen
Ellen
seconded.
did.
Okay.
I unsecond it.
Okay, so I will change the wording and post it for 30 days, and we will vote on it in August.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're going to vote on it.
Are we gonna have Australian ballot?
I'm passing it,
I'm passing it by the village trustees, but perhaps I'm putting words in your mouth, Carl.
well, I just want to know what is going to come for a vote in August. I mean, is it going to be the village of Saxtons River? Is it going to be the trustees of Saxtons River? Or is it going to be, we are going to have a special meeting to discuss this? I'm just not clear what we're going to be voting on after 30 days.
So
That's all.
I'm trying to take in all of the comments that have been made. I'm hearing you say that you, Carl, that you would be more comfortable if this declaration of inclusion began by saying the village trustees of Saxtons River.
I'm not
welcome
saying-
all people.
I'm not saying I prefer that. I'm saying that I don't like the current wording. I offer that as an alternative, but not necessarily as a preference.
Yeah, I don't think that means a whole heck of a lot. Certainly doesn't mean as much as the village of Saxtons River. So if we're going to keep village of Saxtons River, then we should have Australian ballot. Should change the wording. You should post it for 30 days, and at some point, in the near future, have Australian ballot. Then people that are informed can say yay or nay. Or save it until the annual meeting.
My opinion is I liked our first plan of posting it for 30 days and then voting on it at the next meeting, or after 30 days.
Well, how
Yeah, I
about
think
how
that
about changing the wording, posting it for 30 days, and put it on the agenda for the August meeting, and we can make a motion to vote on it or not.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I agree with you, Matt.
Okay, how's that?
That sounds good to me. I am hesitant to put it off until the next meeting, until the next village meeting, which is, presumably next spring. I think for me, the words that Susan Rugg spoke at the annual meeting are ringing in my ears. And that was something to the effect of, it's wrong to sit by and see things happening that are wrong. Making a statement is something we can do.
Yep.
So that's where my eagerness to pass this is coming from. All right, so I will bring this back. I will post it for 30 days and tell people, well, it'll be more than 30 days. And so we will discuss it at the August 1st. We will discuss and vote on whether we approve this declaration of inclusion at the August 1st meeting. Is that my task?
Well, I would say put it on the agenda to discuss. We may or may not vote on it, but as long as it's on the agenda, we can vote on it.
Okay. And it will look like what we have here, but it will not use the word condemn. It will use the word reject.
Okay.
Correct? Anything else? Okay. Go ahead, Carl.
So getting back to another thing that we've talked about before, in terms of what does it mean when we say we strive to ensure all our actions, policies, and operating procedures reflect this commitment? What do you envision that meaning in practical terms? For example, do our actions and policies mean that we're contemplating or open to establishing, I don't know what, some sort of a village resolution or ordinance about discrimination? Or does it mean that just the normal actions and behavior of the village? Or
Well, for example, we have a procedure in place that helps us to decide when we need to make huge expenditures. I've forgotten, do we call that the procurement policy?
Yeah, the procurement policy.
If at some time someone feels that there are underlying issues in that procurement policy that suggest an institutionalized expression of discrimination, they could ask us to examine that policy using the lens of our Declaration of Inclusion. I know of no reason that we would change that procurement policy. It was passed at one time, but having passed this Declaration of Inclusion, we do lay ourselves out to, you know, do something like that if we were challenged to.
Okay.
We, as far as I know, we have no employees. We have one contracted employee who is Rob Wheeler. It's actually the village that has that. We have no rental property.
We
could
do
be
have a-
challenged on how we set tax rates, I guess. That is an action we take. And
Yeah.
we would have to say that we try to set them with fair and equal treatment of everyone in the community. Those are the sorts of challenges that I envision.
We do have employees, don't we, technically? I mean,
Technically, we do not.
Sarah gets.
Oh,
a stipend, I
absolutely
get a
not.
stipend. We're employees, aren't we?
No, you are not.
Oh, okay,
Absolutely not.
okay.
I mean,
So-
I declare all our employees to the Vermont League of Cities and Towns. That's why I'm so adamant about this.
Okay,
And there's a separate category for the people who are trustees who are paid for their execution of responsibility.
what's that category? Just curious.
I can send you the paperwork,
No,
Carl. I don't have
I
it on
just
top
wondered
of
if there
me.
was a name for it, that's all. I don't need to see it. I was just curious.
So the more you talk about this and scrutinize the words, the worse it gets. So, right, I would, I would be in favor of taking out policies and operating procedures. You know, it's just, we're not in the policy department, I don't believe.
We make policies
Yeah.
and procedures. They're on our webpage.
Well. I
And we
think,
take
though, that
actions.
When you're talking about policies and operating procedures, that's not something the village does. That's something the trustees do, right?
Well, I think you need to move on from this because we're going to get stuck on it. Change some wording and put it on the agenda for August 2nd or 1st.
Okay, I will. If anybody wants to talk to me one-on-one about this issue, maybe we can move forward a little more easily in August. Obviously, nothing that causes an open meeting violation, but two people discussing something is fine.
Right.
Okay, we are on to the next item on our agenda.
One last question, Amy.
Yes, of course.
When are you expecting to post this?
I will put it up this week. So I'll wordsmith this week and send it to you for posting
Okay,
on the website. We have a post for the Declaration of Inclusion, so I assume this will replace it.
yeah,
Okay,
and I can send it to the people who get the meeting agendas too,
okay,
to the email list.
okay. We are on to number 10, review for approval the LEI IR sensor and H2S sensors for the treatment plant. Total estimated at $5,000 by request of Rob Wheeler. These are costly parts, which he's determined we will probably be replacing. He would like us to approve the large amount ahead of time. Carl, was that a question?
Oh, no, I was just scratching my ear.
Okay. Sarah, did you have your hand up?
I think you've already approved these. You had a special meeting to approve them, I think.
Was that for is this the same part that was being sent to Germany or someplace for repair?
No, this is new. I
No.
think we replaced we discussed the O2 sensor. This is the LEI IR sensor. This is something that's come up in the last 3 weeks.
Okay,
Can we have a motion so we can begin to discuss it officially?
Sure, I'll make a motion that we approve the expenditure of estimated $5,000 for 2 parts for the treatment plant.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve a total estimated at $5,000 for 2 parts for the wastewater treatment plant. Is there further discussion?
So this is something that we're going to need quickly.
Yeah, Rob is working with people and he's working with Tom Allen. And I've seen the email correspondence, which he forwarded to me. Tom thinks that this is a routine replacement, but it's a big enough expenditure so that he asked for our specific approval. It's something that happens routinely in the operation of the wastewater treatment plant. Are there further comments or questions?
Is there an upward estimate of the cost, or how good is that $5,000?
He thought it would be adequate.
Okay.
All right, hearing no further comments or questions, we have a motion on the floor to approve the payment, approve a total estimated at $5,000 for the LEI IR sensor and the H2S sensors for the wastewater treatment plant. All in favor signify with a show of hands, and it's unanimous. Okay, we are moving on to committee reports and updates. The Village Park, I think we've handled earlier. Are there any further comments on the park? Okay. The 4th of July. So I promised you an update. I worked with Sue Hernandez, and with your approval, confirm sheriff coverage for 5:30 to 9 p.m. on the 4th of July. The 4th of July committee pays for that, but we get the bill and share it with them. Sarah, was that a hand?
yeah, that was my question. Who is paying for it? Because they've always paid for it themselves.
They pay for it themselves. You're correct. Also, I think you all know that we discussed at some length concerns about the Stickney Field, also known as Dump Corner. So I talked to Bert Stickney, who is the current owner of that field. And on the advice of town staff, we are having 11 by 17 signs made and laminated, which will say no fireworks, dry conditions. And Bert is having them posted along the edge of the field. And what that means is people have this visual notice when they are there. I have asked the sheriff's deputy to stop by, if it's possible, on July 3rd and July 4th to make sure that they're being observed. Who knows when people will come, obviously if they come at 1 a.m. We have done what we can to make this safe. The Stickney family is very concerned about damage to that field, and they have been considering whether they need to close it completely to usage by the public, because it's a paying property for them, and the damage is expensive to repair.
Yeah.
So that's where we are on that. Are there questions or further comments? This started with the 4th of July. I think it is all related to the 4th of July.
Yeah.
Okay, planning grant for 37 Main Street. I'll try and keep it brief. Taft Martin has submitted her estimate. It's close to what we budgeted in the planning grant. This is an estimate to walk the boundaries, consider the rights of way, research the proposal. I can share her letter with you, and she is quoting us $2,600 for that survey. We had budgeted $2,300, and she would like a down payment of $1,000. I sent that out to Main Street Arts. who have been involved in looking at the survey, and they asked, was a survey really necessary? And we heard back from Gary Fox, given town history. And remember, this is, although we are the principal players, this is actually a town municipal grant. Municipal planning grants get given to towns, not to villages. Gary feels that it's important when the sale of the property goes through, or as we consider usages for the property, to know exactly how far back it goes. So that was his answer to why a survey. And it was approved as part of the municipal planning grant that we submitted. So I guess I need an approval of the $1,000 to proceed. I can share that letter with you if you like. Any comments?
We have $1,000.
Yes, we do. This is part of our municipal planning grant money, Carl, the money that we were given to spend
Okay.
on this item.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve the expenditure of the surveying for 37 Main Street.
Is there a second to that motion?
I second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the expenditure for the survey of 37 Main Street. Is there further discussion? These monies, just to make it clear, will come from the grant. Carl?
Matt, is your motion intended to be the $2,600 total or the $1,000 down payment?
Both.
I think we're within the expenditures allocated by the grant.
Yeah.
I can share with you the work plan for the grant. I anticipate there'll be some give and take, and we may have to come to grips halfway through the project with what we can afford, but certainly at this point, this is a necessary expenditure in my estimation.
Mhm.
That was just for clarification for the minutes.
Are we ready for the vote?
Mhm.
All in favor, show by hands if you approve the motion, and it's unanimous. So no need to have opposition. Okay, fire station, any additional information? Okay, wastewater treatment plant. I've talked with Rob about having an open house at the wastewater treatment plant. I exposed this idea to you. It's such a beautiful facility, and we spent so much time paying for it and discussing it.
Come
Now,
on
I
down,
thought-
family day at the plant.
So, yes,
I'll get the
We could-
balloons.
We could hand out the sewer bills.
no,
Be your rubber ducky.
I would like to suggest a Sunday afternoon in August. How do you feel about that? If you think it's a lousy idea, just tell me and we'll take it away.
Oh, I think it's a fun idea myself.
I mean, in all honesty, we could, coincide it with another event that's going on in town. If we do another meet and greet with the neighbors.
Meet and greet at the plant.
Take a stroll down Main Street, take a stroll down River Street.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Matt, your house is in great condition, so you could be an opportunity to show it off
There
or
you go.
have a yard sale.
Yeah.
A townwide yard sale starting at the wastewater treatment plant.
So yeah, Matt, you're the one of the board most closely impacted by this. Are you okay with this idea? Steady parade of traffic going to the open house?
It's fine with me.
Okay, I'll work on that and hopefully have a plan in place for you to review. All right, we're up to the minutes for approval from June 6th. Thank you again, Ellen, for composing
thank you,
those
Ellen.
minutes.
Well, thank you for uploading it and taking care of it. And I appreciate that.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the June 6th meeting.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of June 6th. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Warrants and bills for approval. Let me get that up. I'm not, I think I dickered with it a little bit more. So here it is. The total amount is $8,606.51. Sarah has very kindly joined us. A number of these items are efforts to make sure that we do fiscal year payments within the fiscal year. So we have put in a placeholder for Bound Tree medical supplies. This comes from the rescue squad. And typically those bills come to us a little bit late. They're received by the rescue squad. We have to get them from them and get them in. Sam Fletcher has let Sarah know that she has opening expenses in the amount of $200. I don't have the receipts yet, but Sarah will get those before she pays anything. So we have checks, we have ink and paper from Sarah, we have the payment to the treasurer for this fiscal year, and we have, glory hallelujah, the ThinkBook and MS Office software and 2 years of warranty, all on this warrant. So do I hear a motion so we can get on with questions? A motion to approve $8,606.51 for the warrant of June 20th.
I'll make a motion to approve the warrant for $8,606.51.
Is there a second to that motion? I'll second the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and approved. It's been moved and seconded to approve the warrants, the warrant in the amount of $8,606.51. Are there questions or comments?
Question
I'm
for
sorry.
Sarah. Is there any other software you're going to be looking?
Yeah, so I'm going to be purchasing QuickBooks once I get the thing all set up. It's taking forever for some reason. I think user error. I haven't set up a computer in probably 5 years. So, yeah, so there'll be QuickBooks, which is going to be about $600.
Wow.
Is that a subscription? Annual
It
subscription?
It is QuickBooks literally this year, if I'd known, but they, of course, it used to be that you could buy a downloadable thing, and now it's only online. So now they have it as a subscription only. And I searched eBay, and yes, you can buy the old one, the downloadable software. But good thing that I read a little more, because it was like $400 and that seemed like okay. Then I went back like the next day to check on the prices, and they had all gone up to about $1,500 just as this was all happening. And then QuickBooks said they're not going to support that in any way. So they sort of caught on very quickly. So, and of course they're not going to support it. So it's still worth it. It's the only, when you go, it's the only software that anyone recommends, except for like an incredibly like $10,000 to $15,000 piece of software, which we don't need.
Do you have any concerns about having to do it online?
No,
Okay.
no, that's the way the world is moving. And, you know, like 8 years ago, we were using index cards. So
I have QuickBooks. So it's nice to have.
Yeah, my husband
is.
uses it too.
yeah,
It's good for us people.
I wish I had realized that they were going to change it. It never occurred to me that after 20 years, they would make a big jump.
Mm-hmm.
But it's their way of getting more income.
Yeah.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Are there some more comments and questions before we proceed to the vote?
One thing that is not meshing is I looked at the email that you had sent with the agenda on it, and it had the warrant and that was $6,000.
Yeah, it's been
What did I
increased
miss?
since then. So I'll show it to you once more. Sorry.
Well, yeah, no,
I
I
was
saw it.
looking at the two of them too, but there's
Oh, okay.
more
all
stuff.
right.
She had said she
Yeah, I knew that Amy had said she tinkered with it, but
The,
that was
the big, the
$2,000.
big, the big item, Ellen, is the Casella,
Okay.
payment, which is 13, which is
$11,883. I'm sorry,
All right.
1183. It's
Yeah,
not
that-
11,000, it's 1,183.
Okay, that makes up for the approximate $2,000 discrepancy. I'm good. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay, are we ready for the vote? All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve the warrant in the amount of $8,606.51. All in favor with a show of hands, and it's unanimous. Great. All right, we're going to do other business and items for the next meeting and date, and then my plan is to go into executive session. If there is any action to be taken after executive session, we will come out and take it. But when we get to the executive session, I will put Fact TV in the waiting room, which I have just enabled for this purpose. So at that point, nothing we do is seen by Fact TV. It's just us in discussion. And then when they come out of the waiting room, and I think I'd like to turn the recording off as well, if you're all right with that. We will make a decision at that point about whether to include Sarah. So let's get on with number 14. Is there any other business for tonight's meeting? Anybody?
No.
Items for the next meeting and date. We have several that have come up. We are going into executive session to discuss the contract for the fire payment with Athens. So that may come up at the final one. And we are also going into executive session to discuss possible litigation over a property line. So if there's any action, we'll do that. Any other items for the next meeting? And the date we agreed was July 11th, and that will be the sole meeting for the month of July. Okay. All right. So executive session.
Recording in
Because I want
progress.
the motion recorded. I want the motion to be on Fact TV. That's important.
So I'll make a
So-
motion that we go into executive session to discuss contract for fire coverage with the town of Athens.
So actually, because it's a contract, I would like us to discuss reasons that this
Yep.
board specifically finds that premature general public knowledge places the municipality at a disadvantage. And that is our reason for going into executive session. So that's the first motion, and I'll make that motion. Is there a second to my motion to go into executive session because premature general public knowledge would place us at a disadvantage?
Yep.
Is there a
Carl
second?
seconded.
Carl seconded.
Okay, great. And the reason for that is we are discussing a contract with the town of Athens. I don't want to broadcast these figures. So when we come out of executive session, we can make a motion at that point. I would also like at this point to make the executive to pass the motion to extend that executive session to discuss possible litigation with the property line of the wastewater treatment plant. Again, I would prefer that, I believe that we should find specifically that premature general public knowledge places us at a disadvantage with the people involved in that discussion. If you would agree with me, would somebody second that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, so we have 2 motions and 2 seconds. And now, Carl, your motion about the contract, please. So you wanted to move to go into executive session in order to discuss the fire contract. It has to be 2 motions for each one
Okay.
by the open meeting law.
Okay.
What? I made a motion and it was second.
I'm lost here.
Okay, so let me back up a minute.
I made a
In order-
motion to go into executive session to discuss the contract with Athens. And it was
But the
second.
first part of that motion has to be the part about premature
Okay,
awareness.
so
by
we're
the public.
voting on your motion.
So we're voting on my motion for
Okay.
both ones.
Okay,
You're right, thank you. So all in favor of the motions to go into executive session because of premature knowledge? Signify by showing up a hand. It's unanimous. Thank you. Now we have the motion for the first reason, which is to discuss the contract with the town of Athens. That was your motion,
mhm.
Matt, and did I
Yes.
hear a second for that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to go into executive session to discuss the contract for fire payment with Athens. All in favor with a show of hands? And that's unanimous. And also a motion, having passed already the one about premature knowledge, a motion to discuss possible litigation having to do with the property line for the wastewater treatment plant. I will make that motion. Is there a second for that motion?
Second.
Ellen is seconding it. It's been moved and seconded to go into executive session to discuss possible litigation having to do with the wastewater treatment plant property line. All in favor signify with a show of hands. And that's unanimous. TV is
Recording in
back.
progress.
All right, so we have just voted to leave executive session, and I would like to make the motion that the village trustees continue their fact-finding with the fire department in regards to a contract with the town of Athens.
Mhm.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the Village of Saxtons River trustees continue to fact find before changing the fire agreement with Athens. Are there any comments before we go forward? Any discussions or questions? All those in favor of the motion show with a hands, and it's unanimous. I would also like to propose that the trustees continue getting information to reestablish property lines where a pin has been lost around the wastewater treatment plant. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Do you have that motion, Carl?
Could you repeat it, please?
The trustees continue getting information to reestablish the property lines where a pin has been lost at the wastewater treatment plant.
Okay, thank you.
It's been moved and seconded to get more information to reestablish the property lines at the wastewater treatment plant. Are there any comments or questions? All right, hearing none, let's vote on that motion. All in favor of the motion? And that's unanimous, and we're good. Okay, our very first executive sessions. I think we are ready for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Thank you.
Night.
See ya.